Friends, family, and keepers of the faith, welcome to another Del Boy blog. And let's start by date stamping this. So it's year 3, blog 34, or in legacy numbers, blog number 138. And it's dated 13th of October 2024. And we'll start off as always with the news. We'll get to me afterwards, and we start off with the war. And I've got here that it's day 963, and Zelensky said on Saturday that Russian forces had tried to out Ukrainian troops from portions in from positions in Russia's Kursk border region, but that Kiev forces were holding the line. Also, prosecutors in Donetsk region said 2 people were killed in Russian strikes on villages near Kurakirov in the Donetsk region. So, as you know, everything I know about the war, I want it to stop. Everything that you just read there was no signs of any stopping. And the only surprise to me was, my God, it said day 963. And I thought to myself, I started my blog just before the war. So how many days is that? My God, we must be therefore in the 1,000 mark. So, or very close. Another landmark position, and that's the only good news that I can sort of give that I've been going that long. Not much better in the UK news either. It's got here that a man has been a man abused by a girlfriend who was also banned from using the toilet. The man who was kicked and punched, told to sleep on the floor and banned from using the toilet, says that he wants to tell his story to help other victims. Now, I know that all my friends are not stupid, and we know that as much as women are abused by men, it happens the other way. But it really does sort of speak to me a little bit here, because I don't think in the media much of it. I see all the time about a bloke abusing a woman. And I do know that there are some stories where it shows the woman has abused the bloke, the man. But I don't think it's balanced. I'm ashamed when I see it on the news and hear on the news about a man abusing a woman. I just don't see it natural. If a woman slapped me round the face, I'm not going to punch her in the gob or anything like that. And if she was pounding on my chest, you've done this, you've done that, and all of that sort of stuff, all I would do is sort of protect myself, push her away, and try and calm the situation down. There's no punching involved. But when you hear a story like this, a woman abusing a man, I go, yeah, it happens. I've had mental abuse from women bosses that I've had through the years, and I don't think that's covered either, you know. I remember there was a situation when I was working at Lloyd's, and basically I was up for promotion along with this lady that had just started. She'd been there about 3 months. I'd been there a year. So my manager, who was a lady, put us both up for promotions. She said that you're going to learn one side, the other lady's going to learn the other side. In a month's time, you're going to swap over, and then I'll make the decision on your performance on both sides. Well, I'd only been on the other side for 1 month, and we were supposed to swap over, and the manager actually had the lady sitting next to her and said, "We just want to talk to everybody. Can you put your keyboards down and everything? Just want to welcome and say that we've now got a new supervisor, and it's this lady." And of course, I felt embarrassed. I was going, "You are?" So, being a sort of fragile sort of person, not a very assertive person, I was shaking. It was like, why is that happen? Why is that happen? So I said I wanted to speak to my manager, and she said yes in the morning. So I went home disgruntled that night, and when I got in the morning, I was worried. I needed to speak, and I needed to speak my mind. And I spoke to her, and I said, "Well, obviously," when I spoke to my manager, I said, "I'm despondent and very upset that you would do that without speaking to me first. I mean, what sort of a person, and I did say this, what sort of a person reads out a promotion to somebody and not speak to the other person that was also up for promotion? Don't you think that that's a very harsh thing to do? And the manager just turned around and said, I'm the manager. I'll do what I want. And I said, but I was supposed to be over on the other side. Don't care. I wanted this person to be promoted. I promoted that person. And that's sort of, to me, a mental cruelty thing to do. And I had to live with that. And I knew that I would never get a promotion under this woman. And I spent ages trying to get into the computer department, and it took over 4 years. And I found out later on, when I'd left Lloyd's Bank, that the manager who I was under was best friends with the manager in the computer department that just happened to be a woman. And I had been blocked for many years. And the only reason I got into the computer department was because there was a secondment come up. And a secondment is done differently to a job application. So when you go through a secondment, they can't turn you down. And it was an external manager that wasn't even managed by Lloyd's that actually employed me. And after the secondment, there was no job for me to go back to, really, because the position had been filled. And so they created a job for me in the computer department. And that was the start of my time in computers. And that, again, is mental cruelty. And it's also blocking by association. The manager speaking to the other manager. And to be quite honest, I'd love to go back and turn around and say, taking you to court, by the way, because I've got evidence that you blocked me and then you used another person to block me. But at the end of the day, I've moved on. I've been a manager and all of that sort of stuff. So why bother? So that was that sort of story. And then there was another one which was on the news on Friday, which I saw, and it surprised me. It was a Virginia McCulloch was finally found this week and has been sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term imprisonment of 36 years for murdering her parents in 2019. The bodies were not found until 2013. And yes, I saw this policeman arresting this lady, and the report went on to show that she had avoided being found for many months. She'd finally got caught. She was very helpful from what I could see on the news about where things like the murder weapon was, all of that sort of stuff. And it was just wow. And then obviously I've read a lot more, about the parents and all of that sort of stuff. I don't know the reasons behind why she murdered her parents, but 36 years, some reason of murdering the parents, hiding the bodies and having them take 4 years to be found. Wow. Life is just an amazing thing. And every day I'm surprised about how things go in the world. So that's the end of the news, really. And before we do all the shout outs, we talk a little bit about me. And to me this week, it's been very troublesome. And it's all my own fault, really. All my own fault. Because I get despondent over silly things and so forth. But many people will know that I'm a nice person, and I'm a very big supporter of everybody, community, all my friends. I try and do as much as I can. And I suppose I just get despondent over the smallest things. And I had a friend that left my Discord this week. And I understand the reasons behind the person leaving the Discord, and they're all valid reasons. There's nothing going on. There's no disagreements or anything. But it's one of those things where if you're trying to grow a channel, if when somebody leaves, you just go, Here I am trying to build things up, and there's people leaving, and I, I understand the reasons. If you don't use a channel, and if the notifications become a real pain, and you've got quite a big friend base, then what's the point in keeping the channel, going to it? So just leave it. But from my point of view, looking at Discord for a moment here. Discord is a communication channel. It's a way of speaking to somebody if you want to. And so I'm very big on the fact that that I can speak to people that aren't on social media, use social media or whatever, right? So if you close the option down, then you close a communication channel down. Now, the one thing that I've been umming and ahhing about, and I'm bound sure to do by the end of this year, is totally disregard Facebook. And I don't use Instagram, and I don't use Twitter or any other. So Facebook Messenger will go, and therefore a communication channel will be closed down. Now, that leaves email and Discord. If I therefore leave the same Discord groups in the same way as my still friend person does with this, they've only got email to communicate with me. And that's because if I have the opinion that the only people I want to speak to are people that are already in my Discord, and if you have that opinion and that position, then basically you don't need the other communication channels. But the trouble is, I look at why close down a communication channel when you can just turn the notifications off. You don't even need to go to the actual Discord group itself, as long as you know that you've got a communication channel there. Now, like I say, not a biggie. I just, like I say, despondent. And I look at it from the fact that I like multiple options. And if another person doesn't like multiple options, then basically you can understand why the person left. So it's just me, just because I know that I've now got only one option now to communicate with this person if I close down Facebook. And if that option is closed down, they've got no chance. And that would be through comments then, through YouTube. I'd be able to speak to someone. Yeah. So we'll leave it there. That was just one of the things that happened, and that happened on Monday. And nothing really happened on Tuesday. And Wednesday I had my fun day. It's the fun day where I speak to my friend Ian Hill, the Ramblings, and we talk about everything: movie, TV, music. We've even had Soupgate. It's almost like sitting in a pub talking to your friend. And other people come in and they join in and they want to have a conversation and ask a question and all of that sort of stuff. And I've met new subscribers to my channel through this one. And Ian is very big at supporting my channel. Every time I go on Wednesday, he promotes my channel. Every time he goes to my channel, he will watch stuff and like it, even though it's not his thing. So he watches the gaming stuff and goes like. Great. Because I tell you what, the other thing about likes is that I don't get too many of them. And although I don't want to talk about subscriptions and likes and all of that sort of stuff, it's come to my attention that likes is one of the bigger things that YouTube monitor to get your channel out there to outside of the people that subscribe to you. And I noticed that even though I don't get that many watches, which is like 59, 70 something for the gaming stuff, I get about 6 likes. So even if my friends were watching it and commenting, they're not liking it. And if they're not liking it, they're not getting my channel out there. And I can't do anything about it because I don't use shorts. I hate shorts. I can't do a minute review of a film. And I can't do a minute of gameplay. Christ, by the time you've loaded it, got the game channel picture up, pressed fire, and got to the action, 20 seconds would be left, and it'd be the end of the game. It would be the end of the short. And even if you started it from the start page of the game and pressed fire, It'd be like 50 seconds. Now, yes, there are certain games I would die in that 50 seconds, right? But you wouldn't be able to show anything. It's ridiculous. So I don't use shorts. So, all I can say is that I do hope that people do like my stuff, and I do hope that they'll click the like button. Can't force anybody to do it, and I'm just mentioning it because I'm talking about things that are on my mind, and on my mind, I'm thinking about channel growth. And that's why I talked a little bit earlier on about the person leaving Discord, just purely from a point of view of growth. That's all it is, really. So these things can knock you back, but I do the things that make me happy. And so I continue to use Discord, all the Discords. I'm Discord of Mamemeister, I'm Discords of Denny, all of these sort of things. And I even advertise my Discord and Mamemeister's Discord in the description so that people can click on it and join it from an external point of view. And I'm just very grateful for everybody that is a friend of me, and long may you please be my friend. I don't want to lose them. My God, we need a community, and that community of friends is very important to me. So, I want to say a big thank you, to people like Mamemeister and Denny and all of those people, because you've been huge supporter of me. So thank you very much from the bottom of my heart on that. So Wednesday came and went. Thank you very much, Ian, for allowing me on your channel to speak. It was great fun. Love it. Thursday, I bought a 1 terabyte drive because I downloaded on Tuesday the Exodus finally, and it was 700 odd gig. And I needed another drive. And Friday, disaster on Friday. What happened on Friday is that the hard drive that had been in my machine for 12 years failed. It was a power surge, poof, and the surge protection protected every device that I've got. Wonderful. Okay. But when I powered on the machine, it kept going to a diagnostic mode. Trying to fix Windows, can't do that. And you'll know that if anybody's ever seen this, you'll know that the troubleshooter comes up. When you click on the troubleshooter, you've got several options. One of them is remove the updates that might have caused the problem. I knew it weren't that, but I did it anyway. It didn't work. Startup repair, that didn't work. From an image, do it from an image. Can't do that because I haven't got an image, and I didn't have a system restore point. And the reason I didn't have a system restore point is purely on the basis of space. 12 years ago, when I built this PC, SSD drives were in their infancy and cost a lot of money. When I built this PC, I put the highest processor I could buy, the highest motherboard I could buy. The case was even £100. I was spending a lot of money. So nearly close to, I'd say it was about £1,800 when I built this in 2012. Yeah, it's that long ago. Yeah. And so the SSD drive was 120 gig. And my thoughts were, I've got two 2 terabyte drives that are not SSD. They're Western Digital. I think they were Western Digital Blues, if I remember rightly. They were 7,000, like 500 RPMs, not 10,000. I couldn't afford those. But the access was good enough for what I thought was Steam gaming at the time, good old gaming at the time, emulation gaming at the time, and playing back a film. So I didn't need an SSD for that. And the SSD just needed Windows, and Windows will grow, but it shouldn't. When you consider that a fresh installation of Windows is usually around about 70 gig, and you don't need a page file during this time, because to be quite honest, your SSD is incredibly fast, and I have a lot of memory inside the machine, because that was the other thing that I did, was bought quite a lot of RAM. It was 16 gig at the time, but it's 32 now, so you can imagine you don't need swap files. So the swap file was off. But it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and to the point where I was trying to clear some space. And And that's what I was doing when I was clearing the space. I was only getting rid of TMP files and .old files and all that sort of stuff. And the power cut occurred. On looking, because I'm lucky, I've got other machines. I've got my laptop, which is an i9 with 32 gig of RAM in it. I mean, my God, it's a powerful laptop. I took the drive out and put it into an external caddy and put my new 1 terabyte drive that I'd actually had arrived on Thursday in the machine and started to install Windows as a backup, just in case. And I started to do all the work I could to fix this machine as best as I could. And what I found out was Windows was fine, but the master boot record had gone. Now, the master boot record, or the MBR, is part of the startup routine of the SSD drive, in much the same way as there is a boot strap and everything else. Now, it's a very complex file, and you can't actually just edit it in a text editor. You have to do all sorts of stuff. So I was looking at programs and I was trying to get that to work, and certain programs that said fix the MBR record, and it wouldn't have any of it. And then I went to my Windows technology guides about master boot record, and basically found it was in the system reserved area, which I found. And what all the technology guides were telling me was, if this MBR has gone wrong, then it's bound sure to be that the registry entries in the master boot record are not pointing to the correct files in Windows. And quite rightly, I took a note of the error, and it was saying that it couldn't find the kernel. Now, we're not talking like Kentucky Fried Chicken here. It's the kernel for Windows. And as much as I was doing as much PowerShell commands as I could to fix this, I couldn't get it to register the kernel for everything that I tried to do. So I turned to the software that I'd just downloaded and bought, because there was a help channel there. And they offered a service outside of the program and said that they offer a service where they will dial into your machine with TeamSpeak, TeamViewer, and on the external drive, they'll try and fix the problem. It's an expensive process because it was $100. But the outside of it is, if they can't fix it, you get the money back. And I thought, wow, what can I lose? It's an old drive, but I didn't want to lose the settings for OBS and so forth. And I knew that I'd be doing my blog on Sunday. So I asked this guy to do it. He dialed in. 4 hours later, couldn't fix it. And I got a refund for my money. They tried to keep hold of that money as best as possible, because he asked me to put the drive now that used to be my old Windows drive into my new Windows build, which is now built and installed, and copy the files across. I said, hold on a minute. The 100 was to fix the machine. It wasn't to copy files across. I can copy my Windows documents and all of that sort of stuff across, and I can even copy across the browser stuff across that is not normally in documents or downloads or any of that, without having to export it the proper way through the browser. I mean, I know where that is and copy it across, and bang, you've got your stuff. Now, I don't keep my passwords on there. I've got a password locker on another program. So I don't need to use a wallet. So all of my favorites were back, but of course I had to log into all of my machines and my software, and I had to put in the password that I'd saved with a Google Authenticator, an authentication program. So I've got quite far. I've reinstalled Tree Size Professional, OBS, malware, ExpressVPN, Battle.net, and Steam, and all of that sort of stuff. But it's a long job. And the last thing I did last night was get OBS and try to set up the scenes and get that all sorted. And this is the reason why everything is late. For some unknown reason, I was getting sound out from OBS as well as from as the mic picking it up. And I found out, yeah, of course, schoolboy error, and it took me an hour to find this out. OBS has got a volume slider. And you don't need OBS to play back stuff. I use it to record stuff. It's not to play anything back. So, of course, knock the OBS slider down, and there we are. We're back to normal. When I say back to normal, there's a lot of work for me to do. You'll notice that there's no overlay to this particular broadcast. There's no that lines picture that goes round in the background. There's no droid cam and that. And of course today there's going to be, I do apologize, no media being played back of the films and stuff I've watched. However, I can still get a blog out to you. And all I can say to you, yesterday was a struggle. I was on a chat in the evening with my friend Pete, Playtendoguy. And if you think about it, I haven't talked about sleep. And I was awake at 9 o'clock the morning of Friday, worked all the way through the night on that hard drive until 10 in the morning on Saturday. Started to install and get OBS working all the way up until about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I sat down in the chair and had a rest. Fell asleep for an hour. Woke up, I had to do because I need to look after my mum. Was on Playtendoguy's talk until 1 in the morning. So you can imagine from the point I was awake on Friday to the point where I stopped working on the hard drive and installing things at 3 o'clock, I was awake for 30 plus hours. I had 1 hour sleep and then continued for another 6 or 7 hours and then slept last night. And I didn't wake up till late this morning. And that's the reason why, one of the other reasons why my blog is so late. Now, I'm hoping there's going to be not too much judder or frame dropping and all that sort of stuff. All that sort of stuff I've got to work on. And sound was one of those problems that I had to work on this morning. So, yeah, just to show you, there is media playback, and you can see that my camera is down there all ready to go. I'm all ready to go, but I'm just not quite there yet. And you'll see it's got a different background, and you'll see all the icons have gone. Look, I used to have them all the way over here. All that's lost. I've got to rebuild all of that. So hopefully, everything will be okay, and I'll be recording and everything will be wonderful. So let's get to the shout out, shall we now? Because you can imagine I'm very, very tired. And I've got all the week to sort this out. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to do all my recording on the Mister. Well, let's have a look, shall we? So there's the game capture. If I turn my Mister on, I wonder if it'll come up. Yes! So there we are. So it looks like I'm going to be able to continue my game capture. So that's good, isn't it? Like I said, getting there. I don't know whether it captured, by the way, the Yeti sound and everything there. I don't know why I've gone back there, but I've noticed the sound is bouncing, so that should be fine. So shout outs, it's the nicest thing in the world for me to do. These are the people that have commented on my blog. I will mention a few people that have commented on the game stuff. So the blog shout outs are Denny, Ian Hill, The Ramblings, Robert's Retro Gaming, Martroid, Weebob Art, LFC Gamer and Vlogs, Colin Jones, aka Ponder, Frank Holder, Steve's Gaming, and Muckman-Movies. Those are people that commented on the blog. But I also want to thank people that commented on the gaming streams this week. Mamemeister, Rocket Bunny, Gans Teeth, 20th Century Gaming, Satan 3959, Seb's Place. Hopefully I haven't missed anybody. If I have, I do apologise. I don't normally read out the people that have just commented on the game stuff. Usually it's just the people in the blog. That's what you're watching now. So you'd be watching this, wouldn't you? So it's a little bit like that. Just going to take a swig. And now what I've got to do is make sure that I've brought up my notes. And yes, I have. So I can start doing a talk on the comments section. Here we go. First one up is Denny. No particular order. Hiya, mate. Hope you and your mother have had a good week. Well, you've heard of mine. Mother. Not too bad. Coughing like mad. I've bought honey. She doesn't take it often enough. She said she doesn't want to get fat. I said, for God's sake, Mum, just take the stuff, will you? It's important. And the more you don't do that, the more your throat will get red raw, and what you've been taking as honey will be a waste of time. I think she understands, but there you go. And I've made sure she's had her tablets this week. She's got a bottle of Prosecco this weekend, so she's happy. Otherwise, she's doing what she normally does. Watches people go by in the window, watches TV, the soaps. I watch the soaps with her because I need to spend time with my mum. I don't want to be just in this room. I think that's rude when your mother is in another room alone. Why am I here if I leave her alone? It's a bit like that. I get some cups of tea. I've been making cottage pies, for her to eat, along with jacket spuds and all of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, my mum's fine. Thank you so much for asking. Thank you so much for the Jeff signature. I'll treasure that always. Yeah, it took bloody ages. I do apologise. Sending stuff in the post, I should do it a lot more often. I'm right next door to a post office. But I also wanted to include something in the box to show my friendship and something that I no longer need that I thought you might like, and I put a steelbook in there. And it's great to have a friendship like I do with Denny. He phones me quite often when he can, because he's on nights, so sometimes he can't. And he sends stuff to me that he no longer wants, film-wise and DVD-wise and book-wise. And I phone him on occasion, although it's difficult because I don't know when his hours are. So it's usually, him phoning me because he knows I'm always available. I've got no life. He's got a life. He's got a girlfriend, parents. This is where I'm always a bit backwards at phoning people up because I just don't want to disturb them. And the other thing is I don't know their working hours, and it's me that's not working. So, so we have a great relationship, and that's great. As you said, the nights are drawing in and it's going dark a lot sooner. Not my favourite time of year, but I suppose it pushes you on to do more of the jobs that need taking care of. That's quite right. And it won't be long before the clocks need to be changed. I don't know whether we'll continue to do that for much longer, the clocks changing. It happened just before the war, if I remember rightly, or during the war. And it's been explained to me. Kids need to walk to school and walk home in the light as best as possible. Yeah, I can understand it. I don't know. I just know about that. Similar things happened to my dad regarding his car battery when we were on our holiday home. He parked up on the trip down. Then the morning it was completely dead. He had to have a new battery, just like a PC. Anything can go at any time. And that just shows you about that hard drive I was talking about. And mine was not. He drove, driving down somewhere and then it died the next morning. My car had been left for 6 weeks. Usually you'd have your car battery charge itself back up while you're driving. Depending on all the things that you've got switched on. You've got the air conditioning on, and you've got things like sat-nav, your phone, your multimedia system, should I say, in an Audi, and everything all switched on. Then it's not going to be able to charge the battery up as fast. But from the way you were reading that, it seems like he was travelling to a holiday home. It might have been quite a long journey. He must have had a pretty poor battery. That's all I got to say to that. Or the distributor wasn't charging it up. But I'm glad it's sorted now. I'm only guessing, by the way. I'm seriously considering getting a Mr. Pie. I'm currently hemorrhaging money with the amount of films and TV releases. Plus, I need to get a new telly November, and my computer needs a full upgrade very soon too. On top of that, I'm having to sort out items in the attic and placing them in plastic storage boxes costing a fair bit too, and they say physical media is dying. LOL. You can understand all that. And I hope the telly does you well. You've been watching the channels that I gave you for reviews. You've come to a conclusion, about OLED, or whether you're going to go with the new LED system, the micro LED system. And I hope your choice is the best one for you. There's never the greatest of choices, because one feature will not be found on another one. No matter how much you spend, you can't get it all. So it's just the one that best suits you. The one that best suits me is OLED at the moment. I don't think I'd go down the LED route. Even the new LED route, even though they've got things like the viewing angle and everything changed. For me, OLED is the blacks for me, not the brightness which you get with LED. So the nit level of an LED is higher. The nit level of mine is lower, but the blacks are inky black. And that's because of the way OLED controls its contrast and colour. Anyway, currently watching The Penguin, watching 2 episodes, and me and my old man are quite impressed. Definitely stick with it till the season ends. Yes, I've talked about The Penguin last week. I said how good it was. No disrespect to Agatha and Marvel and so forth. Penguin, the result end at the... you know what will happen at the end, because it will become the Penguin. But it's the journey you go on to get to that. With Agatha, it's a brand new story, and you don't know what the end is, and you don't know what the beginning is. So there you go. 2 different sides of the coin. I'm watching both. Penguin, I've just watched episode 3. Episode 4, I think, is Monday. Both recommended, by the way. I wouldn't steer you wrong there. Agatha, I think, is the worst one of the 2. But then again, it all depends on what you currently like. Watch the last episode of The Lord of the Rings. The second season was a lot better than the first one. And it's one I'd recommend. Yeah, I need to get caught up with stuff. Musicals, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang are 2 I love. Beside those 2, I'm not really fussed myself about any others. Well, I'd include Little Shop of Horrors in there, but each to their own. You shocked me with Steve's question, though. Listening to your answer, I can understand why. Games are a film which you play in real time, whereas films you just watch. Yeah, that was a hard one. Like I said, if you've got a gun to your head and you've got to choose, think fast. Especially if Steve's holding the gun, because it'd blow my brains out with me just twitching for an inch. Right? Just my joke, Steve. But yeah, you'd blow my bloody brains out. What's left? So I chose games because it's interactive. It doesn't say anywhere you can keep getting a selection of films. It would be just what you've got. Right, that's how I read it. In my mind, I was going, right, I've got a gun to the head. You're going to lose stuff in your room, so that means the games, the stuff that you play on, or the films that you watch. Right? Now, I take it he's going to leave me a TV, and the thing to play the damn stuff on, and I've got my surround sound out. But he's going to take everything else away, all the monitors, the computers, the laptops, the Mister, and all of that sort of stuff. So, of course, my solution was games are interactive, films aren't. It wouldn't be too long before I'd get bored of films. I'd be watching the ones over and over and over again. Saying that, though, I'm older now, so I probably wouldn't. It'd probably take me until I was 90 to get through what I've got now. But you understand the sentiment. The games would give me something to concentrate my mind on. That was it, really. So I don't know about the shocking bit, but yeah, if it shocked you, it shocked you. Black and white and to colorized films and TV. Not for me. Unless it's restoration like the Pertwee Doctor Who episode, which I said. Invasion of the Dinosaurs episode 1. Black and white and has a charm lost when it's colorized, like the Laurel and Hardy shorts, and I totally get it. So this is where I was saying, hated that Laurel and Hardy colorizing. Loved the fact that they tried to colorize Doctor Who. They're getting better at it. They are now turning to other colorizations methods and so forth. I still do not like colorizing black and white stuff. I do not want to see a colorized Outer Limits. I do not want to see the old Twilight Zones colorized. I do not want to see Laurel and Hardy colorized again. It's shit. It was done in black and white. Leave it there. It was done with black and white film or black and white recording equipment. Doctor Who wasn't. That's the reason for colorizing it. You've got one episode in black and white and all the other 5 episodes are in color. Bit of a jar. So to colorize that one episode, thumbs up. Yeah. You know, and it was colorized it was color in the first place. So the reason why you've got these black and whites and not color of colorized stuff, they junked the color tape. And when stuff is brought back from other countries, they sold them the black and white edition because they also only had black and white at the time. So the black and white negative is returned. There you are. So that's why you get even some ITC stuff. Not The Prisoner, but I mean, or Randall and Hopker, but stuff of that ilk that was in colour back in black and white. And it's the only thing that's left. So, yeah. Question for this week. I've always seen the SNES as the Commodore 64 against the Mega Drive being the Spectrum in terms of the sound chip. Can you give me some examples of some of your favourite soundtracks from the SNES games? Oh my god. So many. Castlevania 4. Brilliant. I mean, all the Castlevania music is great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's nothing extra in the SNES that makes that sound better, although it's night and day between the Mega Drive, the sound, in regards to Castlevania anyway. Super Mario World. It was the first game that I put in, and when you went to the second level and went underground, there was that echo. And then the tunes pop into your head because you're playing it so much. And then you've got the levels like the going into the Ghost Mansion and all of this sort of stuff. And they add echo and all this type of effects. Plus the sound chip was sort of like similar to MIDI. You know, it had that trumpet sound and everything, and bell sound and all of this sort of stuff. Top notch. Just tied to a T, where it would be under YM synthesis on the Mega Drive. So, you know, yeah, Super Mario World. I'm not ashamed to put that in. Like, I'm not ashamed to put in A Link to the Past, Zelda. Zelda. I mean, I played that game to death. The trumpet sounds, that music, da, 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 you know, it just sounds so nice on the SNES. But then there are other games that most people might not have probably remember too well, and that's things like ActRaiser. That blew me away when I put ActRaiser in. Axelay, the shoot 'em up that uses Mode 7. Now, this is where I have to turn around and say Capcom and Konami were king on the SNES, as far as I'm concerned, for sound and graphics. I believe Axelay is Konami. Not sure. Can't remember. Might be wrong there. But things like Super Ghouls and Ghosts had a great soundtrack. Sounded great. Capcom, that comes up. F-Zero. Who can I forget F-Zero? One of the first games you played, that racing game. And I can hear the tunes of Mute City right now in my head. Brilliant. And of course, Star Fox. I bought that. It had the Super FX chip. The tunes are going in my head. There are many more. But night and day against the Mega Drive. Just like the Commodore 64 against the Spectrum in the early days. You know, there's a reason why it was called the Squelchy Beeper, you know, around our area. You know, the rubber keyboard and the beeper for sound, you know, Squelchy Beeper. So, you know, and with the Mega Drive, I mean, it had a competent chip in it, but it couldn't beat, as far as I'm concerned, the SNES for sound. That's why most of the time I'll play a SNES game that's also on the Mega Drive. Unless it's got really, really big problems like slowdown and stuff, then I'll go to the Mega Drive. Because it's all about the gameplay, really. So, yeah. Hope that. Cheers, mate, and take care. Thank you very much, and thank you for that. That's brilliant of you. Salute, my friend. The next one that's just in the list is Wee Bob Art. He's well, I'm still watching along to this one this morning. Hope you are doing good, Del. Question for next time: what is your favourite type of game container? I personally did like the PS1 cases, despite their tendency to break. You're not allowed steelbook games. LOL. Best wishes to you and your mum. What a great question. One that you don't get asked an awful lot. Containers. So obviously the biggest container, that I've got, or should I say the majority, the ones that I've got the most of, will be the old CD container. You remember that games would come in big boxes, but they'd have a CD case in it, and I would put those in shelves and the box would go somewhere else. But my number one, I think you'll find, will be the big box container that will be at the end. So I didn't like double CD containers, because they wouldn't fit on my shelves very well. I used to like the Mega Drive plastic container. There's something about the hard plastic and the clicking. So that would go along with all containers like that. The Master System, Mega Drive. I wasn't a fan of the SNES boxes. Cardboard boxes. Bloody awful. Get rid of that shit. So they had that with the Mega Drive, at least the plastic container, which I liked. It kept the instructions better as well. If you ever look at the SNES boxes now, they're all battered, and all the instructions are all bent. Awful, really. That's just cruel to give us cardboard boxes like that, anyway. So I like plastic containers as a whole. Even the Switch has got plastic containers. The Snapcase. I'm just going to call it the Snapcase. So Snapcase is probably my number 2, and it's your number 1. But the CD containers, the best ones, I think the Dreamcast. I love the Dreamcast's CD container. That was quite nice. So really, second is the plastic snap container. Any plastic snap container. Number 1, the big box. Loved the big box container. Just didn't have enough space. Still got big boxes now. But a lot of the big boxes I've gone. I had to get rid of them. I just didn't have the space. And that's a shame, because I'd love to have some of the big boxes that I destroyed back. Imperium Galactica 2 was one of the big boxes. I've only got the CD case for it now. That's because the instruction manual was inside the CD case, and I thought, what's the point? There was nothing extra inside there other than where the CD case went into the cardboard groove. It was just not worth it. So thank you very much for that question. That was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Bob. Salute. We moved to Robert's Retro Gaming, royalty of Canada, should I say. Hi, Del. I'm glad to hear that you had a better week. Nice to be back driving. Battery woes notwithstanding, I'm sure. Carry on with the game request videos for sure, as long as you are enjoying yourself. I don't get to see all of them, but the ones I have watched are quite enjoyable. And thank you so much, because you've been one of the people that I've been chatting to give me games. So I hope you at least watch those, the ones that you're suggesting. Otherwise, I don't see the point, really. But yeah, you continue. I can accept the title of Queen of Canada if it gets me the respect I so thoroughly deserve. You are King of Canada. I was just joking with the Queen bit. You are giving me a run for my money in terms of the number of videos you have been putting out yourself. Bollocks. Now, you wait later on when I read out his stuff this week. And I've got 5 gaming videos in this blog. Right? And he says, I'm giving him a run for his money. My ass. You got to learn to count, mate. And you're bloody good at counting, because I've seen some of your videos and you've done mental arithmetic in your head. And I can see the cogs whirring in your head when you're doing a mathematician type thing. And you're always talking about with Ponder and Colin about relativity and how time travel's not possible, and all the figures that you go into the light, how fast the speed of light is, and so forth. So don't give me that bollocks. So anyway, salute, my friend, and we move on to a very sad one. It's from Steve's Gaming. It says, "Hi Del, I'm sure about this. I'm sorry about this, mate, but I can see YouTube is up to its old tricks. The comment I dropped here on Wednesday is gone. Also, the comment on your Hercules video I wrote is gone too. I've just noticed this, and it's a Saturday afternoon. Bugger. I thought it was fixed now, as it's been okay for a time. Yes. Nothing I can do about it. You're in the safe list. If there's something going on with YouTube, it's something that's being monitored. And I've always said, make a copy and paste it to me in the Discord. You've got that communication channel to me. You're a member of Mamemeister and my channel, so you've got both communications there to just quickly paste it in. I know for a fact that Denny said that his had gone, and he'd pasted it into Discord for me, and he repasted it in last night for this morning, and it's held. So I don't know what it is. Could be a caching thing. I don't know, but it saddens me that I can't read out what your thoughts are on your mind. And all I can say is try that. And always, matey, I'm interested in everything that you say, and I have no control now over what's going to be lost. Apologies. And we move on to Ian Hill, The Ramblings, my mate. So let's see what he's got to say. Hi, Del Boy. Hope you and your mum are okay. Oh, hang on. Before I do that, Steve's Gaming, you see. I forgot to do my normal. Love you, you bastard. Fucking hate you, really. You're such a great person on YouTube, you fucker. No. I forgot. I've got to do that. It's just the thing I've got to do every time I mention Steve's Gaming. It makes him laugh. But anyway, Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Hi, Delbo. I hope you and your mother are okay. Despite the ongoing health issues, had a great time as always on our live stream. I did laugh a lot, which is a great thing to have in the middle of the week. It puts any problems in my life in perspective. I also learned so much too. I do appreciate having your helpful knowledge too. Good to see you doing these game requests. They seem very popular. This is where I'm saying about Ian being such a great supporter of me and so forth. You know, I'm very appreciative of it. I really am. I have been to the doctors for my asthma tests today, review. It went okay, and we discussed the ways of preventing attacks. Then afterwards, I continued with a walk into town. It was the collector's flea market day too, which I loved. I did go to the various charity shops and kecks, but I didn't see hardly any bargains. I did for £1 pick up the first season of Frasier, which I've only seen bits and bobs. I thought it would be nice to have some in my collection. I walked there around town and back home. I was extremely tired when I got back, but hope it had done me some good. The next time I'm off will be my flu and COVID injections on the 30th. And just finished watching Children of the Damned 1964, which is a loose sequel to The Village of the Damned from 1960. The creepy kids were not aliens or a real threat. It's interesting that Ian Hendry was in it playing a very different role from what he's normally associated with. I really enjoyed it, full of atmosphere and great direction. Yeah, that sounds. I mean, I think I've seen it. It must have been a long time ago, children. Village of the Damned, I've seen the original and the remake. And I think Village of the Damned is one that Euphoria Pictures has just opened up. I think he's very pleased with it. I haven't got that. I don't really go for the Koch or Koch is what it is. Koch. Sort of like box sets because they're very expensive. If it was a specialist like a Star Trek thing or something where I've got every issue, you know, like Blade Runner and all that sort of stuff, maybe I'd do it. But he collects them all, and they were all silver fronted. They all look lovely, and on his shelves they look gorgeous. But I could never keep up with that. Never in a million years would I have the money to do it. My question this week is, which is your favourite soap and why? I know you do mention them. Best wishes and have a great grand time. Hate soaps. But I love my mum, and I'll do everything for my mum. And one of the great joys she has, along with watching the darts and all of the stuff in daytime TV like Heartbeat and Poirot and all of that, one of the great passions is that all the through her life with my as I've been as a kid, she watched the soaps, and those soaps were at the time whatever they were: Crossroads, Emmerdale, Coronation Street, EastEnders. She's now down to two: Coronation Street and Emmerdale. Out of those two soaps, the one I'd watch, Emmerdale, every time. Something about the countryside, a little bit more reality than Coronation Street. My God, if you lived in that street, then you've seen the world in that street. Deaths, marriages, births, people with conditions that you'd only ever see one in 10 million people get. All sorts of stuff, car accidents, smashing up in, the cars colliding into factories, fires in factories, hold-ups in shops. My God, that street's in it all. And Emmerdale, most explosive thing generally is a barn blowing up. I mean, obviously it's had its stuff like planes landing on it, but we've gone past that point. Now it's more about the shitty people that live in the stately homes, the working community that live in the village, and the community and the chats that go on in the pub, pretty much. And I can watch that. It's like Crossroads. Crossroads was all about the staff, the cleaning staff, and the guests that arrived, and some of their things that are going on in their motel rooms. It was just a continual stream of that, and every person has got a story. So of course Crossroads could have gone on forever, but of course it didn't. So I'm not a fan of soaps. Don't like soaps. But if you were to put a gun to my head like Steve did, it'd be Emmerdale. And it'd be the only one. Don't like the doctors and all of that home and away bollocks stuff. No, I never watched that stuff. Home and away and all that sort of stuff. No, Neighbours. Fucking hell, Neighbours. Bollocks to it all. Salute, my friend. Thank you so much. And we move to another stalwart, LFC Gaming and Vlogs, which I'm so glad to get comments from. Brilliant. Hi, Del. Thanks for answering my question. Great responses. You talking about The Wizard of Oz makes me nostalgic. Like Gone with the Wind, it's another staple film in my family. Must have seen it at least 40 times as a young whippersnapper. And I just have to stop there and say thank you very much and say, yeah, I mean, I wasn't poo-pooing the Gone with the Wind. It's one I can't watch every year or anything. It's just a bit like War and Peace for me. But just to say, The Great Escape has got a collector's edition. It's quite costly, 50 quid. But I'd wholeheartedly recommend you pre-order it in case you want it. And then, of course, cancel just before. Just make a note of the date, the release date. Because when that pre-order's gone, you're going to be down to the scalpers. And it's such a great film, and I know you like The Great Escape. Also, you like The Italian Job. But anyway, I just recently did a video about me and my feelings towards grifters and a few annoyances on how some scumbags treat their viewers in live streams. While the subject may not bring anything new to the table, but I've had to call these things out because, let's be honest, it's become much worse in the last few months. Think you could tell I wasn't best pleased, but someone had to land the minerals that others wouldn't dare. People like yourself, Colin Jones and Mamemeister, for example, is why I still love YouTube. But these bogus sell-out types are trying to suck away a lot of that enjoyment for me. And I left a comment for you, matey. I hope you read it. I'm in total agreement. It's great that you sounded it out. It wasn't a rant. I think it was quite well pointed out in a calm way. You know how rants, you can see rants on YouTube, and I sometimes hate rants because they can come across like you're talking to you, and it's you that I'm pointing all of this crap at. This didn't come across that way at all, and that's one of the reasons why I won't call it a rant. I'd call it a discussion or a sound out. I wish I had the balls to do it, but I ain't got no balls, and that's been pointed out to me a lot of times. So I'm just male on the birth certificate, honest. No, not going along biological means. I thought it was very constructive. Thank you very much for doing that. And you've got questions for this blog. What are your top 5 favourite You bastard. Just read that to the end. What are your top 5 favourite Only Fools and Horses episodes, not including the Christmas specials? In my mind, nothing tops the chandelier and Dell falling through the bar comedy gold. Bastard. There isn't a top 5. Now, it's not a cheat, but I did see this as the first question when I was basically hearting yours to keep it for the blog this week. And a top 5, I wouldn't be able to name the episodes. So just to name the episodes, and there are more than 5, these are all the quintessential episodes that I'd like without saying top 5, because there are far more than 5. You couldn't do it. So, not in any particular order, like this is my number 1. These are just great episodes. Go West, Young Man. That's from season 1. And the reason for it, they sell a car to an Aussie. They take Boyce's E-Type jab to a nightclub, and they try to chat up 2 girls, and the chat up lines to these 2 girls are comedy gold. Absolutely brilliant. And it was like the 3rd episode in of season 1. And not a lot of people talk about season 1 at all. So that was great. A Losing Streak, that's from season 2. This is where Del Boy is trying to get as much money as they can, but he's a gambler, and he's been gambling with Boise far too long and has been losing at cards. Can't understand it. Grandad gives him a double-headed coin, and even that doesn't work, especially if you've got rodders around. Fantastic episode. A Touch of Glass is the chandelier episode that you talk about, which obviously is a store point of mine. And then I think in the same season, there's an episode called Friday the 14th. And it's where Dell's got this idea to go poaching or fishing. He does this, fishing like this. And it's basically supposed to be Friday the 13th. So basically there's a person that's escaped from the asylum. They're in a little cottage in Wales somewhere. And basically they keep seeing faces in the window and all of this sort of stuff, and there are just some absolute classic lines in there. Going into the next season, we've got The Longest Night, and this is the one where Del Boy thinks he's the 1,000th customer of a big supermarket, when actually he's been pulled in because they think he's nicked food. Then starts the whole process of a real robbery going on, and they're trapped in the manager's office all night, and it's why it's called The Longest Night. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic episode. I can watch that all the time. We're getting into the longer episodes now, so the season numbers, or the whatever year we're talking about, is much later. And we get to Dates, which is where Del Boy met Raquel for the first time through a computer dating agency. Always found that episode a joy. Seeing Trigger using the dating service and all of that. It's just got some classic lines in there. And in the same season, you got Danger UXD. Always amuses me because of the blow-up dolls. They've got propane in them. They don't know this. E40 was buying dolls, and it was blow-up dolls that you get in CD magazines. How they got rid of those last 2 dolls and they blew up was just so much fun. Brilliant. The Unlucky Winner is a classic. I remember everybody talking about this episode when I went to work the next day, where Del Boy enters Rodders into a mail-in competition and didn't tell him that the competition he'd entered him in was an old painting that he'd done when he was a child, and therefore they were going on holiday, and Rodders had to pretend to be 13 3/4. My God, he's 6'4". And that meant that he had to pretend that his wife was his own girlfriend. Oh, it's just comedy gold. It just goes on and on and on. And of course, they become millionaires at the end and get nothing. Fantastic story. The Jolly Boys outing. How can you not like the Jolly Boys outing? Now, some of these might be Christmas. I think the Jolly Boys outing was a Christmas episode. However, when they go to Margate, it's just comedy gold. Even the bloody bus blows up in that episode. Absolutely fantastic. And then a little further away down the line, Raquel moves in with Del Boy, and basically there is an episode called Stage Fright. And basically this is Raquel going on the stage with another male performer, and he's got a lisp, and they're singing things like the Gween Gwas of Home, Crying, and other such classics. Comedy gold again. What can you say? And then later on, right at the end, and this will be a Christmas special, and I don't give a shit. Heroes and villains. Del Boy dressed up as Batman. Rodders dressed up as Robin. Running down because their freewheel van has broken down. Running down the precinct at night with all the mist to get to a fancy dress competition. No, it was actually a funeral, but it was going to be in fun. It was going to be. Tell you what it was. It was an annual drinking event, and the person died during the week, and they didn't tell them that it was for not fancy dress anymore. That was it. Yeah. Running down the precinct at night with all the mist and watching a robbery, and there they are dressed up as Batman and Robin, and they scare the robbers away. Absolutely fantastic episode. It's part of a trilogy, that one, ending with, I think it was A Time Enough at Last or something like that, where they find the fob watch that make them millionaires at last, which is where it should have ended. But it carried on for another 2 to 3 episodes. Shame. That are the comedy gold episodes I can watch over and over and over again. I can, every single one of those. The others I can watch, along as watching 6 episodes. But if you were to ask me which ones can I watch over again of that whole bit, it would be the ones I've just mentioned. So you don't need the top 5. If you disagree with those, you're wrong. But those are my comedy gold ones. You then continue. I hope that was a good enough answer for you, by the way. Is there a TV show you know is crap, and yet you can't help but love it? One of my favourite sitcoms of the 2000s, if you can even call it that, is 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisp, which has Ralph Little and Sheridan Smith, who I thought was fit as anything as a kid, from the royal family starring in it. I mostly like it as it was set in Runcorn, which is less than 10 minutes away from me. Filmed in areas I'm familiar with, the humour reeks of early 2000s, which hasn't aged quite as well, but somehow it has a place in my heart. Runcorn, I take it you're near Manchester. As you know, I lived in Northern Moor and Didsbury for a time. Don't know if you ever frequented those areas, but I was only 3 junctions down from the Manchester airport, but they always flew in a different direction, so they never flew over my house, so it was great. So that was very near Sale, and I worked in Altrincham, so maybe there's some road areas for you to sort of like do a little discovery of. I mean, basically, I went to Warrington and Cheshire because I went along the M56, because that was near the airport. So remember, I was only 3 junctions away. That was the way that I used to go for Warrington and Cheshire and all of that. This is all from memory, so if I've got it all wrong, I do apologise. Number 3. Oh, sorry. Is there any TV show that... Well, not really. If it's crap, I don't watch it. I suppose one of them could be I'm Not Going Out, that, program. On occasion, I watch it, and if it's on TV, I'll watch it if there's nothing else on. But to be quite honest, I'd rather watch Dad's Army or something and put something else that I've recorded on. So I tend to be not watching junk to get to what I want to watch. Do you see what I mean? I can't stand Birds of a Feather and all that, and I will instantly turn over. Crap. Off. Okay. One that's crap that I might watch. 2. Duty Free Benidorm. They come to mind. If they're on, I'll watch it. Duty Free for the nostalgia. Benidorm because I like to see what characters are in it. And I like some of the characters and they make me laugh. But I don't, if it was on TV and I missed it, I wouldn't be looking for a catch-up. Do you know what I mean? So I move on. Number 3, how do you like your steak? Are you a medium rare kind of chap or is it well done? Used to be well done. And it's not because of my teeth or anything, but I'm now more a medium to medium rare. I don't mind a bit of blood, pink in the centre. It's not a problem to me. I just don't like gristle and fat around the edges because if you are going to have it medium rare, that will not be crispy. So I like fillet steak, obviously. That's what I used to order. I had rump steak if I was brassic and I was paying for it. But if I was on a road trip and it was on expenses, I'd order a fillet steak with a jacket spud. Wouldn't have chips. It would be a jacket spud. And probably one vegetable. Yeah, loved fillet steak. Yeah. Anyway, medium rare. Yeah, medium is because I went from well done. It must have been about 6-7 years ago, down to medium. And now it's medium rare, and I suppose it's because it's a bit more moist and juicy. I know people will be going, oh, blood, and all this sort of stuff. No, it doesn't bother me. No. Number 4. Have you played any of the Jazz Jackrabbit games on the PC? The second game brings back so many happy childhood memories playing it on my parents' Windows 98 back in the day. Jazz Jackrabbit is on my Exo-DOS drive as we speak. And I remember playing the second Jazz Jackrabbit game. Yes, I did. But I didn't play it much because at the time I'd built my PC and I'd got a 386 SX25, but instantly moved to a 486 virtually within 3 months. And I had a DX50 and I went up to a DX100 and then went to Pentium 1. I was playing games like Dungeon Keeper, Wolfenstein, Magic Carpet, stuff like that. Dune 2, that comes to mind. Moving on from the Amiga to the PC, I was sort of like within those Amiga realms on the PC. I'm thinking to myself, these aren't as good. I believe the first Jazz Jackrabbit they didn't understand the scrolling mechanism for a PC because it doesn't have one. Later on, programming has made it so that scrolling is smooth, but at the time under CGA, EGA, and even VGA, moving the screen horizontally or vertically scrolling was jerky. You watch any of the old games, they were, unless you knew the programming method to do it, and that got discovered, and then basically everybody could scroll, and it was just woof. PC for games. So thank you, salute, my friend, and I hope I've given you some good answers. Pretty obvious I've given you some shit ones, but I hope you had some fun with that, matey. And long do you recover, matey? Do have a little bit of a rest, and do a blog on occasion, in the future. But anyway, we move to my friend Colin Jones, aka Ponder. And you've put, while paracetamol and alcohol won't hurt as an occasional thing, it's definitely not a good idea regularly, as it increases toxins in the liver that can lead to serious problems. Though the amount of paracetamol here is well within normal non-alcohol use. Yes, she was taking she still is, 2 paracetamol at 500 milligrams each, and that is 1,000 milligrams. And if you take 4, 5 in one go, you will die from poisoning. That will kill you. And with alcohol involved, don't risk it. So I always tell my mum, look, I'm taking you off the paracetamol. It is in her system, but if there's 24 hours between the last one and she wants a drink, and then I just continue it from Sunday night onwards, Monday, that's perfectly fine for my mum who's 83. I just will not have her drinking Prosecco and half a bottle to 3/4 of a bottle at that during the week, because I'll give her a tablet. For what it's worth, I won't refuse to give a game for your ongoing series, though there is one I'd like to see you play that's not on Mister. That's brilliant. Thank you very much. I've just read that. For what it's worth, I won't refuse. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I've really enjoyed your choices, matey. But, and I will say this, and it's an apology a little bit to Mamemeister as well. I'll play anything. And I do have MAME and so forth on this PC, or should I say it will be reinstalled shortly. If it's not on the Mister, you can always ask it and then say, because this isn't on the Mister, this is my first choice, but if you haven't on the Mister, please play this. There's no problem with that. I can always answer back, you see, and say, yeah, got to do the Mister one. Sorry, matey, whatever. And I don't think I need to say this because you've all been bastards. But make them as hard as you want. There's only 2 stalwarts I won't do, and those are because I'm doing my own special on those 2 games. One's on the Amiga, one's on the Commodore 64, and I've mentioned it to the friends I've talked about, so I don't have to mention what the games are here. And so my apology is to Mamemeister, which I'll talk about now, I suppose, is that he chose a game and he wanted it on the Mega Drive, and the reason he wanted it on the Mega Drive was because it's damn hard. And I looked at his choice and I chose a different version. It's the only person I've done that to. And the reason for it was twofold. Denny gets to see it because I've tried to give him that game and can't get it to him by email or G Drive or anything else. It's the same game and it's bloody hard on the PC. Plus I could show off the extra features such as the modern graphic mode, the retro plus mode, the speed, etc., etc. Now the problem was that I hit exit after leaving one of the parts of the stream, and so I didn't reopen it and play Lieutenant difficulty level. And Lieutenant difficulty level is harder than the Mega Drive. I can tell you that now because I've played the Mega Drive. And Lieutenant level of that is shockingly hard. Incredibly hard. Right? But I missed the point that he wanted it to make me suffer. I thought my friend loved me. He wanted to make me suffer. Bastard. Love you really, Mamemeister. Alan, he is. Brilliant. Love him. Fantastic guy. So I missed that point. So where I was thinking I'm giving people a new version of Battle Squadron that very rarely people see. Denny gets to see it. I appease my friend because he's getting to see the PC version of Battle Squadron and see all the extra features that you get with it, which means that he might want it if he hasn't got it already. I missed the point about he wants to make me suffer. So, to appease that, I will be doing an extra. It will be at the end of round 4. It will be a recap, and I will do the Battle Squadron on the Mega Drive purposely for Mamemeister. It will be a double spread because I have to ask Mamemeister for a round 4 game. So I'll be doing a double. Do you see what I mean? So, he will get his Battle Squadron, and I will not do that again. It's the first time I've done it. Remember, I've done, let's see, 7, 14, 21, 24 or so games, and I've only once have I strayed away from the machine you want to play it on. So, I look at it from that point of view, that it was a one-off. I'm happy that I still did it, because people get to see the version that doesn't get seen very often. So there you are. You continue. You should check out how manic it can get and how much more playable Starport is with a paddle. I'm sure you've seen this by now. Of course I watched your channel, matey. I haven't got a paddle though. That was the reason for me playing on the joystick. And I've only got an Atari trackball. I need to buy a paddle, it looks like. Maybe they're not too expensive. But I've always told you that I've wanted a Tempest, spinner. There aren't many joysticks that are spinners. Love one. Absolutely love one. And I'm not in that same way as you, Colin, in building my own. Right? I've got a Dremel. I've got a soldering iron. I'm not too bad with electronics. But I haven't done tinning and all that sort of stuff for a long time. Space is always the problem. I've only got the garage. So you can imagine, I look on all the time, what's a good spinner? What's a good paddle? I've got my main joystick now, and I've got my trackball on my X Arcade. If you have a look at the X Arcade range and you see a trackball on there, everybody will tell you, class controller. Just haven't got a paddle and a spinner. So I am dead jealous of you, my friend. Maybe you can guide me on a paddle. If you see one on eBay or whatever, and you can message me or whatever, that'd be. But I must admit, it's the spinner that I really want. There was one mentioned, by the way, on This Week in Retro a couple of weeks back. He said he was designing it at the moment, but it's not ready yet. I've been looking for that all the time, so maybe it won't be too long. You've got my question. What arcade games would you like to see as working Mr. Cores? Oh, I knew this question was going to come up at some point. I've been updating my Mister, and I do look down the arcade cores, but I don't pay much attention to what's there and what's not there. And I know from just conversations that Rolling Thunder is not there, and that would be one that I would put there. Yeah, Rolling Thunder, for definite. Okay? Beyond that, it's going to be guesses. I'm not sure Ghouls and Ghosts is there, but Ghosts and Goblins is. Might be wrong with that. That I'd like. But again, I'm going to the emulation and the arcade less. I know things like elevator action and everything have all been done now, and I saw that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles keeps getting updates and it's probably finished now. And I've even played one of the arcade games that you wanted me to play on the Mister earlier on in the rounds. So I'm not going to have a very good answer for you. I'll tell you what, is Assault there? Love the Assault. That's that one twin joystick thing with the sort of like sprite rotation. I don't think that's there. That's one of my favourite arcade games ever that I saw at the arcades a long way ago back. Marvellous. For some unknown reason, Spider-Man, the video game. Yeah, I'd like that there because it's Spider-Man. I don't think that's there. And that's a Sega... it's a Sega system board 32, is it? Something like that. System 32 motherboard. So I think there'll probably be a number of System 32 board games that aren't been emulated on. Not on the Mister yet, because they won't have done the core yet. Thank you so much for that. It's made me think a little bit. You bastard. I like to try and switch off. Anyway, we salute, my friend. We move to Frank Holder. Hello, Del Boy. It's great that you answered my question. I have more for you. I don't mind. What is your favourite UK sci-fi and USA sci-fi series? Ooh, favourite UK, probably Doctor Who. I wouldn't be far off by saying Blake Seven. I used to like all of these: Tomorrow People, Children of the Stone, Labyrinth, Into the Labyrinth. All sorts. UK Space 1999, UFO. My God, who could not like UFO? My God, what a show that is. They're all classed as fantasy sci-fi, as is The Prisoner and a number of others. We'll say Doctor Who, American, Star Trek, the original series, every time. But don't get me wrong, you've had some absolute stalwart classics. All of the Star Trek Next Generation, Voyager, all of that sort of stuff. But Quantum Leap and Sliders, fantastic two shows that I watched weekly. Love Sliders. It just went a bit manic after season 3. And Quantum Leap, all the way to the end, I was there watching Sam Beckett say, oh boy. In fact, actually, I had a theory once of starting up my streams, the streams I do all the time with the word oh boy, right? As if Sam Beckett suddenly leapt into my body to start off the stream and doesn't know what to say. I did try and think about that once, and I thought, nah. And it wouldn't work without the effect, effect. So, yeah, hopefully that's good for you. Question 2. I know you're a Doctor Who fan, but is there any Doctor Who actor that you won't watch? I'm not really watching the new Doctor Who with that Getty Nainju, whatever his name is. And I didn't watch much of Jodie Whittaker either. There aren't many actors that I wouldn't watch play the Doctor, because I don't blame the actor for the scripts or the stories. And I think sometimes some ideas are things you can't back out of. As much as people will turn around and say a lot of things about Jodie Whittaker, it was a bad idea to have a lady doctor as far as I was concerned. But from the BBC's point of view, they want a lady, a girl audience, which you probably didn't have in Doctor Who in any big numbers. And they want a role model for girls, and I totally get that. But if it's if it's something that destroys the legacy of the show, then I'm really up in arms. So having a lady doctor didn't destroy the legacy, but the scripts in that show did. That's where you're saying William Hartnell as the first Doctor was not the first Doctor. That's destroying a legacy, as far as I'm concerned. Other people will say, no, it's adding, but I say destroying. Because, and what I'm sort of talking about here when it comes to the new Doctor, I haven't seen him in the same costume once yet. Doctor Who, for me, was always, he went into the costume thing and he'd put on an outfit. It would be garish or whatever it is, or blends in as much as best as possible. Although how you can blend in with a 60-foot scarf, I don't know, right? It's a guy that basically just keeps changing clothes. Nah, might as well call it the time tunnel, rather than an alien going around in a TARDIS. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, that again is a showstopper of a thing to keep doing. He should be in one costume and recognise him for that costume. History will show. Oh, that was the guy, wasn't it, with the hat on? You're not going to be able to go to conventions. You might as well just go in your normal clothes and say, "Hey, I'm the new Doctor," because there isn't one set of clothes he stayed in twice. So there you go. That's another thing for comic conventions to deliberate over. So question 3, Sesame Street. Do you know the Cookie Monster's real name before he was called the Cookie Monster? Sesame Street, an American show not shown too much over here when I was learning. I don't know his name, no, but I believe it was something beginning. It was something to do with wheels, and I think it was to do with. I gotta remember my history here. It was something to do with he promoted a certain brand of cookie, so he was named Wheels or something. Nah, probably destroyed that totally. Don't know, matey. Don't know too much about Sesame Street because it's an American show that wasn't shown in my childhood, but was shown over here in bits during ITV's children's thing when I was probably at work or at school, so I missed it. I was too busy looking at the BBC's output for university and schools. So I shall end with a fun fact. Did you know the cross-eyed silent comedian Ben Turpin had his eyes insured against uncrossing? I knew Ben Turpin knew about the cross-eyedness, didn't know about the insurance. So no, I did not. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. I think it might be in my Laurel and Hardy book because Ben Turpin did portray in Laurel and Hardy shorts. Don't think any of the longs. Might be wrong there. But I do know that he was in Laurel and Hardy films. So it's probably going to be a fact in my Laurel and Hardy book. Thank you so much. I hope that I gave you some good answers, and thank you for the information. That was brilliant. Last two, Martroid, but they're not least. Martroid. Ah, the old flat battery, always a bugger, he says. I really do need to get myself a good battery charger at some stage. Anyway, glad it all worked out for you in the end. Yeah, good battery chargers are great, and the one that I'd love to have is the one that tells you the health of your battery. My battery charger is good. It's got fast charge, it's got slow charge, and it's also got a setting that you can start your car as soon as you connect it up to the battery. Quick start, I think it's called. But it doesn't have health checking. It doesn't have a meter, I think, on stopping the battery charger once the battery reaches the measure. Some of these are just fantastic features on some of the battery chargers out there. But it'll do. It'll do for now for me. Thank you so much for that, Martroid, and thank you so much for your game suggestions as well. And the last one we've got is Muckman-Movies. I'm not impressed with the Quiet Place Day One Steelbooks, much like the sequel Steelbook, so not shelling out on that one. Yeah, the original Quiet Place Steelbook is a work of art. And when you look at the second and third ones, they're very lackluster. Trouble is with it is if you've got a Steelbook collection and you've got that one in your collection, that Steelbook, then you want the others to be Steelbooks so they match. But if you're not worried about that, then just have the normal regular case, then that's fine. But for me, I like to have match. I'm a big OCD, thing on that. And I totally agree with you. The steelbook covers for The Quiet Place are not for everybody. They are for some, not for others. They followed a sort of like a red technique going through the 2 and 3 versions. One, I think one is one I haven't got because it was before me collecting steelbooks. But I'll have to check that because I've still got my cataloguing to do, and the list is, and you can see that they're getting higher and higher again. That's the stuff that I've been showing you each week, you see, and I haven't managed to get it sorted. That's the end of the comments, friends and family. So I'm just going to take a break for a moment and do a pause if I can. Not sure if I can do it actually. Not quite sure what the key is, you see. Pause. So I'll put a quick one in. So I'll put in a, and we'll put in a there, apply. Okay. And I'll see if the pause works. And if it does, I'll see you in a moment. Maybe it doesn't. Nope, I haven't done that quite correctly. Bloody hell. I need to have a pause because I need to splash my face, so I do apologise for this. So we'll go with change that key to 10. Change the pause to F9. Hopefully this one works. Nope. Not going to be able to pause. That's a bugger. I need to sort... See what I mean? I need to sort things out. Certain I sorted that out. No. I'll try one more thing and then we'll carry on. Do apologise for this. I desperately need to see my mother and all that sort of stuff, so I should have done this well before. Let's try P and we'll have your O. We'll try that. No. So we'll continue, and I do apologise for that, me fiddling about, but we'll have to carry on, and I'll have to get that sorted. Bloody hell, I can't hit stop recording. That won't work. I wonder. Just bear with me. If the reason for it, because I've got it full screen. We won't mess about. I've gone and changed the view now. Bloody hell. There we go. Like I say, it's very difficult to do these things when you've got to a certain point. Anyway, what I've watched on YouTube, fellas and ladies and gentlemen. So, there was nothing in This Week in Retro. They had a week off. So, that's something, isn't it? But Techmoan was still there at 10 o'clock on Saturday, which was wonderful for me to see in the afternoon because I was still busily working on my computer. And he did I got a Bose speaker, the Model 500, and tested it. He's talked about Bose before, and you can't get Bose equipment much anymore. And he bought one of the smart speakers because he'd got smart speakers and he wanted to know what the Bose editions were like because they were too expensive at the time. So he bought an eBay one. Definitely worth a watch. I would definitely do that. Then what other stuff that I've watched after because there was no This Week in Retro, which was a shame, was a YouTuber called Floppy Sword. He did a new open world survival game called The Last Farmer, which isn't out until October 20th. The servers were open until October 9th, so they're closed down now. But he was demonstrating it, and it looked very interesting. One that I'd like to pick up. I know these zombie games, they're just too many of them, but this one involved trying to stop the zombies come into you because you need to actually keep yourself alive by growing crops. And if you can't grow these crops, then basically you're going to die, and so will the community that you live in. It's got all the normal crafting and hitting zombies with a spear and driving around in a car and all this sort of stuff. But it just looked down interesting. So they had a Discord and I joined that and I spoke to the developers and I found out a lot of information. Then, of course, I left the Discord because I got the information that I needed, which is why I was saying about Discord, I understand where things come from. But anyway, the next one is near mint condition. I mentioned this one a lot. Omar, I know quite well. He did a Dazzler omnibus, which I have got ordered. But I usually just mention him because if you're ever interested in any graphic novels or omnibuses, that's the guy to go to, near mint condition. Denny put me in touch with this one many months ago, Chronologically Gaming. And I've enjoyed watching it on occasion, but I'm watching it more and more now, and it's probably going to come up to a point where I'm going to watch it like Techmoan and This Week in Gaming. And that's because he's reached the plateau of October 1982 / November 1982. And that means that the games that he's showing off now are very early Spectrum games, but we're heading into the end of the VIC-20 and the start of the Commodore 64. And when you get to that stage, your eyes open up because it's like, right, you're heading into the area where 83 and 84 was stalwarts and 85 was gold, and then I move into the Amiga. So this era now that he's going into, the end of 82, is really where things pick up. So I might be doing that one quite a lot, but it's a great thing to look at anyway. Then I watched Stu View TV, and I've mentioned that one before. It's just forgotten sci-fi and fantasy TV from the 70s and 90s. He does a load of clips and says, oh, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Do you remember this? It's not talked about much anymore, etc., etc. So that's great if you're interested in reminiscing about certain stuff on TV, and that you might find the odd one that you go, ooh. Like I think he put in one of them, Space Maidens. It came out in 1977. It was sort of looks a bit like Space 1999. It was done after Space 1999's cancellation. And I just about remember it. You can get it on DVD. I didn't know that till I watched his channel. And it's one I'd forgotten about. So, yeah. And then I've been watching one from a YouTuber called Matt Finn. Now, the only reason I've been watching Matt Finn is he has got a YouTube video that is 11 hours and 59 minutes long. 11 hours, 59 minutes. Think about it. But he's demonstrating every MS-DOS game, all 7,500 and something of them. 10 seconds each. Now, you don't get to learn a lot, but you do get enough to go, I want to install that on my XO-DOS 6. So that's why I've been watching it. So I watch it, pause it, install that, get rid of the, move on. Right? Because that's where you get to see, yeah, Jazz Jackrabbit is worth it. But this game is not. Because, it's shit, or I don't remember it. There's things like 3D tic-tac-toe and all sorts of shit, which you know full well you're never going to install. But there are other ones, titles that sound all right. When you install it, it's like shit. So I don't want to go through the uninstaller. So basically, I'm just watching these and going, yeah, install that, install that, install that. So that's that. And then, of course, there's some of the people that I consider as friends that I watch that are not on my Discord, or basically at the beginning where I go friends on YouTube or whatever. I still count them as friends. It's the film side of things, I think, more than the gaming side, which I think is the best way to describe it. So we've got Euphoria Pictures, Keith, brilliant. He did my Halloween collection. It's the only one I saw this week of his channel. I watch every time that he does his these are the collections for you to look out for. But if he's got a collection that I've got a collection of also, I'll watch it. But the ones that are on this week, I haven't really got a collection of. So I didn't quite watch those. But there is no taking away the class and the professionalism that's in Keith's Euphoria channel. So I wholeheartedly recommend that you go there, subscribe and look. Definitely. There's too much good stuff there not to. Do you know what I mean? Then you got Ian Hill, The Ramblings. Here we go. Bloody hell. This is where I start losing ink on my pen. Right? So much stuff. Top 5 horror movies between 67 and 73. SFX magazine review, November 24. Doctor Who Invasion of the Dinosaurs review. X-Files Season 2, Episode 17 review. Island of Terror 1966 DVD review, and Whitney Houston album review, and me live on Wednesday in Del Boy and Ian Hill live chat. That's on Wednesdays. Bloody hell, man. How did you walk into town, get all that stuff done, talk about asthma attacks with doctors, and get all that out? Slow down, man. I mean, and also think about me and my poor pen and its ink. Yeah, I can see you now going, who gives a shit? I'll do what I want. And long may you do so, my friend. Thank you so much. Then we've got Playtendoguy. Again, fantastic channel. Does more than just film hauls. He does reviews. But he also does gaming stuff, which I've had him on my channel talking about games. And I'll have him on again soon. It's been far too long. Just because I want to know more about what modern gaming is, because I've been playing so much retro gaming. It's nice to get that side every now and again. If you don't have that balance, then basically you haven't got one toe in today. And I need to have that one toe in today. So I'll definitely be getting Playtendoguy in for a live chat. He did a Blu-ray haul, and I was on his chat last night, Saturday Night Live. It wasn't Saturday Night Live that you get on telly, but it's Saturday Night Live that you get on YouTube, and I enjoyed my time with it. And I hope I wasn't too tired or caused too much confusion in things, because when you're tired, you can say all sorts of shit, just like if you were drunk. So I haven't looked at it back yet, but I'm thinking I'm okay. Then we've got Through the Lens. What can I say about Through the Lens? My God. He's not doing so much output at the moment because he's going through a few things, but he did do Joker Filet Adieu review, which is Joker 2 to us. I'm not going to say much about it other than watch his review. He'll tell you a review that I think is more foot in reality than people that are true fans. Because I think true fans might be blinded a little bit, you know. So that's great. And lastly, we've got Jim Jam Movies. My friend Jim Jam, who I met in Birmingham, and it's been far too long. I'm going to have to come up and see you again, Jim Jam. And my friend Denny, before I go back to work if I can. So look out for that now that I can sort of do a little bit longer walking. It's been much harder. And I didn't know whether I can stand that long. But I think I might be able to before I go back to work. So we've got thoughts on Joker 2. That's his own individual thoughts on Joker 2. First time watch of Terrifier, because I don't know if anybody knows, but Terrifier 3 is out in the movie cinemas now. Night out. So he went on a night out and met a comedian. And this morning filmed in my shopping centre. He did that earlier, but he actually showed off the footage that was on this morning in his YouTube channel. It was about Halloween, I believe. Interesting. Most of that stuff that's there. Always like to watch my friend on his YouTube channel. Most of that is for everybody. I think you'd get great enjoyment on Thoughts of Joker, first time watch of Terrifier, The Night Out, all of that. Do you know what I mean? So if you haven't already, please go and have a little look at his channel. Hopefully you'll subscribe. I think there's definitely stuff for there for you to like. And we move on to your YouTube, and that is all the stuff that are joined in the Discord, and I know over many years, and all of that sort of stuff. So your YouTube, Down the Rabbit Hole, he did Super Sprint on his Mad Catz wheel, yes. He decided that Super Sprint was a game that he wanted to try. He's got one of these force feedback Mad Catz steering wheels. Wanted to see whether it worked. It worked to a point. It's a hard one to do, that game. If you ever watch the arcades, there were big, massive wheels, and they rotated around like mad like this. And it's not little stuff. Do you see what I mean? And then I finally got my Atari 2600 Jedi Arena. So he was showing off Jedi Arena, which is a very early Atari 2600 game that I remember my friend had when he first got his Atari VCS. I never had it on mine. I never really thought much about it, to be quite honest. It looked a bit lackluster to me, but he finally got it and he showed it off and he enjoyed it, I think, to a point. and just great to watch. I think he's probably got more stuff that I haven't mentioned now. But this was written down at night, Saturday, around about 10 o'clock. So if he has, it will be between now and um, what we're doing right now, and that's many hours. So, and he's in a different time zone, you see. So we got Robert's Retro Gaming, again, another person in a different time zone, and is royalty in Canada. I can actually tell you that. He's got the sash, he's got the crown, he's got everything, right? And what's he been up to this week other than actually blessing his minions, with his forced waving? He's been doing Minecraft Exile episodes 122 and 123, Atari ST gameplay of Obsession and Dungeon Master, Commodore 64 gameplay of Frogger, Spectrum gameplay of Death Chase, Atari 8-bit of Ajax, Atari 2600 of Jungle Hunt, SNES of Pachinko Wars, Arcade Flicky. My God, man! Slow down! Can't keep up. And he suggests games to me to play. Bloody hell. He actually put out an apology because one day this week he didn't bring out an actual video. Oh my God. I'm glad I didn't have to write that down. Save me some ink. I just remembered it. But you don't have to apologise to anything, matey. You do a fantastic job. Everybody, please, at least once go and watch this guy and see what he's like. It's so funny. So informative, really. Actually, you do get some information from from watching this gameplay. You'll learn the game along with him. Some of that stuff might help you just not turn it off and go, "What's this shit?" Just turn it off. You know what I mean? And that happens. But if you just watch somebody also go through that and get past it, you might also then play that game. Fantastic. Salute, my friend. And we move on to an equally interesting bastard called Steve's Gaming. Oh my God, you slow down as well. Since he's got his fibre optic, his videos have gone up to an hour long. How am I supposed to cope, man? Go back to 30 minutes. I can't get through them all. Anyway, here we go. Commodore 16 games, part 2 and 3. UFO 50, part 3. Hydrangea, part 8. Homesoft Part 6. I think he's got a Part 7 out now, the bastard. Amiga Random Games Part 4. Foundry Part 1 and 2. Spectrum Game Pajama Rama. Retro Recipes by Paul Grady. Or Grendy? Is it Gregory? Could be. I can't watch all that, matey. I'm up to halfway through Foundry 2 and you'd already put out another 2 videos after that and I'm getting behind. But to others, please subscribe to Steve's Gaming. He's absolutely wonderful YouTube player and YouTube gamer who is one of my best friends, and I don't think I could like life without him in it. Other than that, he ain't the bastard. There you go. So that's just my little secret salute to my friend. We move salute, my friend, and we moved to 20th Century Gaming, who did budget titles. Yeah, he did a stream. He wasn't happy with his stream because he put a rant in the middle of it. Went back, played some of the budget games that were mentioned in there, had a great time. Unfortunately, I think it was recorded at a time where I wasn't available to join it because I was doing a live chat or something. And he recorded it and put it up. So that's great. Marvellous. Just tells me what I was missing live, which is always annoying. Seb's Place is next. Your 10 must-add games for the retro spectrum, which he now calls Retrum. I suppose that's one way of looking at it. Although I wouldn't really call it a Retrum. It's certainly not an arse, really. But interesting video. The top 10 that he chose to add to it were some pretty good ones in there. I wouldn't agree with them all, but then that's the choice, isn't it, that you make when you put things on. Definitely worth a watch, and it's certainly a help to people that will be getting that retro spectrum when it comes out, which I think is this month or next month. Salute, my friend, to you and 20th Century Gaming. And we moved to Colin Jones, aka Ponder, and he did his Vblog 76. I think he mentioned me in it. I don't know if it was derogatory or not. Can't remember. Whatever it was, I was most grateful for it, and thank you very much, Colin. Um, and then you did your Mamemeister high score channel, which was Flicky, and you did the Vic 20 of Star Post and mentioned me again because it was on Star. It was on a Denny request for me to play a Vic 20 game. I think they got that notice for you, and you've played it. I've mentioned a couple more to you that I thought were quite good. I think you're going to look at those. I did that with Steve. I think he's going to look at his. One thing is, I haven't seen you both do any of them yet. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Maybe it went in one ear, out the other. I don't know. All I know is, what a channel. Gotta like and subscribe, Colin. There you are. Sort of the law. What is also the law is Wee Bob Art. My God, now he's got two channels, Wee Bob and Wee Bob Art. I must mention that because I only seem to mention just one of them. But he wanted to actually let people know that the best digital art software, Rebella 7, I think is $9.99 at the moment. Now, you might have missed your chance for that. I bought it when it was 60% off and thought I'd got a bargain at $9.99. Man, you'd be mad not to. Christ. People have bought programs with no more capabilities than Microsoft Paint for more than that. So there you go. A definite must. Wee Bob Art, what a kind, nice man he is. Brilliant. And the last one is my mate Mamemeister. What can I say about my mate Mamemeister? Other than he continues to excel. I promote him. You'll see his Discord channel in the description. But please go and like him or see him if this is your first time watch. He did a 10-minute mashup of a game called Glacier. He did his Friday waffle, and he did a live stream last Saturday. Not yesterday, but the Saturday before. So it's one of those things where it just speeds over a little bit on this. So brilliant channel. He's doing more stuff. It's just that he's in a busy life at style at the moment. He suggested some games to me that'll be happening. So that comes to the end of the blog, and there's just some stuff to show, which obviously I can't show because things like this aren't set up yet. So you're seeing a blank screen at the moment. That used to be Droid Cam. So you can imagine. I'll be getting all that set up soon. At least the sound is okay today. So things I've watched this week: Glengarry Glen Ross. Fantastic. If you've never seen that, do. It's a drama. It's the ensemble cast that make that such a fantastic watch. I've seen it on stage. I mean, listen to this. Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, Ed Harris, Alan Arkin, Kevin Spacey. My God. You know what I mean? And Jack Lemmon is in it. So that's why I first watched it. And I'm so glad I did. I mean, just fantastic. I think everybody has seen this week. It's been all over the internet. A Nightmare on Elm Street's 40th anniversary. I'm waiting for my collector's box. This is just the steelbook version because there are two. There's a regular one, a steelbook, and there is the collector's. I've got the steelbook and collector's on order. Only the steelbook has arrived. That's the back of it. But not many people are showing off just the steelbook. The steelbook inside the collector's has a different cover. In fact, it's the outside hardcover that's got this image, and it's got the poster cover on the steelbook on the inside, which is why I've ordered it. I might have shown this last week, and I'm not sure. This is the Blob steelbook, which is the remake of the 80s version in 4K in a steelbook. So that was a sort of like must for me to have because I like the Blob, and it's a steelbook, and I thought it was gorgeous. So I ordered that. I think it came from the States. Then we've got Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This is a different limited edition cover to the one that I've already got, as is this Sleepy Hollow, which is a 25th anniversary. I've actually got the bigger Digi steel book. It's a steel book with a book inside it. It's like a Digi book but made of steel. Quite weird. And this is the second cover for A Quiet Place Day One, which is just really the same as the first one, only it's in black with a face in the picture. Like I said, lackluster. It can be. Sometimes, though, a film is good enough for you to want to do that. And these turned up just this morning. So we have the collector's edition of Twister in 4K, which I've been waiting absolute age for. There's the back of it. It's got quite a lot in there. So I'm pretty sure that's the Ultra HD. And then, of course, the newer one, Twisters. The steelbook for that has arrived. So that's Twister and Twisters in the same package that arrived from HMV this morning. And that is it, boys and girls. It's very late. So sorry about that. It's also very plain. That will change next week. Just a matter of time for me to get caught up with setups, settings, and all that sort of stuff. With that, I'm just going to check it all over to make sure that sound levels and everything are okay and no echoes and all that sort of shit. Otherwise, I'll be doing this again. And the other thing is I've got to check to make sure Photoshop works. I've got to do the thumbnail, haven't I? I've just thought about it. Oh, shit. Hopefully you'll see this sometime on Sunday. It's not too late. And I hope you look at me with, oh, his life is just so mad. And it's so disappointing. Yeah, my hard drive breaking is so disappointing. I've got a nice newer one in. And Windows is pretty zippy at the moment. I can hear Colin now talk about, why don't you put Linux on it? Bollocks. Anyway, and with that, I'm going to say salute. Thanks very much for watching. Bye-bye.